Hi, welcome to our podcast presented by the Independent Film Society of Colorado, better known as IFSOC. I'm your host. I am Ralph Giordano. I'm with the Independent Film Society and also Peak Film Forum here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we have our guest, Megan MacGrath, who's going to be joining me representing the Independent Film Society of Colorado. She's on our board of directors.
Hello.
And we have two of our favorite filmmakers. We'll be talking about their careers, Nick Gatsby and Skye Armenta of Gatsmenta Films. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So before we get to you guys, I almost said kids, but I promised them I wasn't going to call them kids, so I didn't. See what I did there? Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
I'm back with Megan. We're going to talk about the Indie Spirit Film Festival 2023, which is what we're promoting. This is kind of our part two of our overview of Indie Spirit. We're back live July 7th through 9th in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we will be at the Ivywild part of town, at Ivywild School Theater, and also the Malibu Art Theater, better known as the MAT. And we've got some really exciting events, I think. I think we have some interesting films. We have over 60 films. Including shorts, both drama, comedy, and documentary shorts. And then we have feature films, both comedy and drama and documentary. We've covered, I think, all the bases. And we have international films. I think people don't realize that the Indie Spirit Film Festival has always been an international film festival. Right. And I think this year we have representation from various countries, including from the UK, we have Mexico, we have Sweden, we have Israel. Nice. Yeah, so we have quite a variety of an international flavor, I think, this year, both in the shorts and in the feature categories. And I think one of the things that we've always wanted to do is do more one-on-one with filmmakers and panel discussions. Right. And that's where you're going to be helping us out. Yes. Because you're going to be part of our panel discussion on Sunday morning.
Yeah. So we're going to have that panel, and it's going to be a bunch of filmmakers. Well, maybe not a bunch, but several
Everybody has
filmmakers.
Been involved with film. Everybody, I think, is part of the panel has made a film or has promoted film or has been a part of a film festival. I think we have a good variety of people from our local community. But I think that it serves a greater purpose because I think they could speak to anybody across the country about what filmmaking is all about. And specifically, our topic will be the future of independent filmmaking post-pandemic. Right. And I think everybody was a part of making films even through the COVID-19 period of our lives. Yeah. I don't think anybody stopped creating art, and we're going to talk to Nick and Skye more about that too. So 3 days of festival.
Yes.
And
over 60 films.
Over 60 films.
2 venues that are right there next to each other.
And I think the best place for people to find out information would be at our website, which is IFSOC, IFSOC.org. Or I'm going to bring up our ticket site because we have tickets that are on sale. We have 2 different ways that you can go to the festival. You can get a VIP pass for all of the 3 days and all of the events. Yeah. That's at $125, which I think is the best deal you could possibly get, or individual film blocks at $15. And you can go to ISFF, which stands for Indie Spirit Film Festival.eventive.org. And it has the full schedule there. It has the descriptions of all the films and the filmmakers, all the events, and you can kind of see the festival in one fell swoop. I want to also thank Studio 809 Podcasts for allowing us to be here in their studio and be our technical advisor. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Let's bring our filmmakers in, and I'm so happy that they are here today, mainly because Nick has been a part of our film festivals. We do a sister festival called Colorado Short Circuit Film Festival, which is a festival that's only for Colorado filmmakers and specifically shorts. And Nick's been a part of that since the very first one, which was 7 years ago. And Skye has joined the team because these two are a wonderful couple. When did you two meet?
We met, I believe,
almost 3 years ago.
August, September 2020.
And you met initially because of film, right?
Yeah.
Skye, why don't you tell us that story?
I love telling this story. So I went to one of the Peak Film Forums, which is your thing.
Our thing.
I saw Layla for the first time, which is one of Nick's films. He wasn't there at the showing, but it just really stuck with me. And I remember I just stalked him on Facebook for a while, and this was like years before we actually met, because I didn't reach out at the time because I was in a relationship and just didn't do it. But as soon as I was out of that relationship, maybe like a month later, I was like, hey, I saw your film several years ago. Do you want to hang out? And it's been...
And you did.
Yep, and we did. I think it was just the film itself. His mind is so unique, and he's just such a visionary in a lot of ways that I just could not forget it.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know what? And since you brought up Layla is going to be one of our presentations, and when it's going to be specifically in a block of short films from Colorado filmmakers. So tell us about Layla, because it's been a while. It's been around a while, and I've shown it, I don't know, at least a zillion times, I'm going to say. Because what I love about it, because it's a good representation of what experimental filmmaking is all about. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Layla was just kind of a home video on a camping trip. I was kind of just filming the dog, and I kind of come from a background of just filming normal,
Abnormal?
Yeah, abnormal random things, and then trying to thread a story out of them. Right. That's kind of how I started. So I figured I'd do that with just filming the dog as my roommate's dog at the time.
And the dog's Layla.
Yeah, her real name's Layla, too. So I would just film her doing her thing. She would be asleep half the time. So the movie kind of starts off with her napping and something wakes her up. So I just took a bunch of footage from our camping trip, kind of pieced it together into like, I wanted to do something that was like kind of specifically for Instagram, where you can only post like a minute long clip.
We would call this a micro short.
Yeah, micro short. Yeah, and I didn't necessarily want it to be like just like a standard narrative. I almost wanted it to be like an art expedition type piece.
It is.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was going for. I know people watching get disappointed because it ends after 60 seconds. They're like, what is the point of it? It's kind of like a moving picture for me, you know?
See, I think it gets the opposite reaction from people because
Really?
it features on Layla. People love their animals. They love their dogs specifically. And there's always this interesting, like, hush in the audience and then this, like, aw at the end because Layla's such a wonderful character, I guess you would call, you know, but I think people just love films about animals, and it's the perfect length because, you know, on Facebook, that's all you see is, you know, people, if you want to see positive stuff about animals, it's there. This is way more artistic, I think, but it also gives, I think, a good flavor, again, what I said about experimental film. You want to talk a little bit about what classifies that as why is it an experimental piece? A lot of people wonder, like, what is experimental filmmaking?
I think it's just it's literally like I wanted to be a scientist when I was a kid, almost like a mad scientist where I'm mixing concoctions together. And I'm kind of doing that with film now. So it kind of came true in a weird way, in a different type of way. And I feel like that's the same with other filmmakers. They're just trying new things that are kind of out of the norm. And they don't always hit the mark, but I mean that's part of the experiment, you know. Like they're just trying new things, trying storytelling in a different type of light. Because people could look at it and be like, oh well, there's no story here, but in the filmmaker's mind there is. It's just told in a totally different type of way, you know.
It's like what we say about art, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
You know, so you know we find what we want from art, and it means something different to everybody. Yeah. So now on kind of an extension of the experimental filmmaking, you both collaborated on a film that's also in the film festival called Close Up and Odyssey, which has an experimental style, but it is more of a narrative film. Let's talk a little bit about that collaboration and where that idea for Close Up and Odyssey came from.
We were trying to make something in time for Short Circuit, we needed something. You know, we couldn't ponder on it too much. We needed something quick, so we just kind of we did this like kind of creative writing
like stream of consciousness type of task.
Where we, you know, first dot, best dot, and we developed this story about a girl who wants to go to Mars because that's kind of like her zodiac sign. So she feels like some type of force dragging her to that. 'Cause she's kind of tired of her like mundane like environment, and she's under the influence of LSD. So by the time the movie ends, she kind of realizes like, well, I have enough adventure on
Don't
Earth.
ruin it.
Well,
Yeah,
no.
don't give us
no,
the
it's
ending.
not. So you can't spoil this
Okay,
movie.
you
I
can't
just want-
spoil it.
Yeah, you can't spoil any of our movies.
you have to
like
see it.
we made movies with gangsters shooting each other with banana guns. We made
That's right.
You know. So our stuff is just so out there that it's hard to like really spoil it all. Like really.
But I think it's an interesting adventure. It's kind of a road movie in a way because
Yeah,
you're in a
very much.
car, which is interesting because you think you're going to get to Mars that way. Anyway,
Yeah.
hence the hallucinogenic experience that Skye takes on this journey. When did Gatsmenta start? Is what immediately when you two like started talking and say you're both filmmakers, or how did you actually start that creative collaboration, I should say?
It probably happened 3 months after we met.
Okay.
Yeah. So 3 months after we met, we decided we wanted to make movies together. And I think it works out really well because I think not just only like in our own relationship, but I think our working relationship is very like symbiotic, whereas like we're very distinctly different people. And our tastes are very distinctly different, and how we would do things is very distinctly different. But at the same time, like it's still mutually beneficial. And so I think it's just the epitome of a symbiotic relationship. So I think it's definitely something we want to hold on to for a very long time. Because I learn a lot, and I think Nick learns a lot, maybe in terms of being a little more open to things that could be perceived as more like boring parts of filmmaking, and I can be more open to parts that are just out there and wacky and odd. So
So it must be fun having discussions at night over dinner about what films you're going to make next.
not
or what
always.
ideas.
Not always. Sometimes it's not fun because we'll disagree sometimes about certain things, but like at the end, I think we always reach a certain level of like, I don't even think we compromise. I think we just stuff in the things that make us happy.
You know, I think it works better for filmmaking to have various points of view. Like you said, like we have to kind of collaborate in this and maybe we don't always agree. But I think it makes the films better that way. Because if you both thought the same way, it's always, you kind of get lost in that going, hey, wouldn't it be great if we did this? Yeah. And maybe it isn't, right? But you're just convincing yourself it is. But if you have two different points of view, you could say, yeah, but what if we did it this way? It makes you think harder on the piece.
Yeah.
I think, so that you're coming up with something that's a little bit different, a little bit special, And I also think about your specific genre, which is, all right, we'll kind of classify it in like the experimental area, but it doesn't always fit into that either, is that it's very open. It could be all kinds of things. Like you even mentioned, Nick, before, you said, you can't spoil any of our movies because, they're so different. They're so unique.
You really do have to just see it to experience it.
Yeah, and I like that 'cause that's my favorite movies are all like that. There's no spoiling it. It's just completely unique, has its own voice. And,
now, outside of the festival, you both have collaborated on a feature film called Zapper.
Yeah.
And there's some exciting things happening with that, because I love to hear there are filmmakers from a local level, true independent filmmaking, are presenting their work and getting it seen on a national level. So you've kind of pursued this and started hitting up, some different streaming services. And tell me about that journey, and then where is your film, Zapper, now available?
Oh, yeah, so Zapper, we completed it, I want to say, February of this year. And,
2023.
And by the next, or I'm sorry, it came out that February, so from there, it kind of spread from, it started off on Tubi, and now it's available on Apple TV and some other like Plex, Zumo, some of the other like AVOD type services. So I mean that's amazing. That's like international. It's going around. So like it's it's a big deal for us. You know.
And you're already getting some response from that film. So what kind of things have you been hearing? And even if you get something, like you said, sometimes people don't understand your work, but it's still important for you to hear that.
Pretty much all the written reviews we've been getting have been like either good or great. Like it,
cool.
Yeah, I'm like really shocked. Like we might have one or two like kind of stinky reviews, like. But
we're all gonna get those.
Yeah. I actually expected more. So like that. Yeah, the response has been great. And people on Letterboxd seem to like it. Well, it's kind of mixed on Letterboxd, but it seems like even the people that gave it a lower score, they still respect it, and it seems like they're going to want to rewatch it at some point, and they're just happy we made it from some of the responses I've been seeing. So, like, I couldn't be happier with the response. My feature before that, like, it really didn't get its respect, so it's really great to see that Zapper's getting a lot more respect, and it's a growth.
I'm glad too, and I'm also happy that we were the Independent Film Society was able to host a screening of your film here in Colorado Springs for a local audience. I also had some of my students. I teach at the University of Colorado here in town, and some of my students came in to actually review your film and write an essay about your film. And I sent you that one, didn't I? That she absolutely, really.
She got
loved
it.
She got it.
She definitely understood it. Yeah.
I feel like if people understand what we're trying to do, they really appreciate it. And the people who don't really get it, they're like, meh.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's just like an interesting. Yeah. It's just an interesting thing we've observed.
It was still an experience.
You know?
For them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what. As a filmmaker, that's what I want for sure. Is that like people don't even have to understand it. It's just if they get like a good like amped experience out of it, you know, that sounds great to me. You know, I kind of want something that people are going to be picking apart for years. You know, if they understood the whole thing right then and there, they might get bored of it. But I feel like the mystery is what gives it so much replay value, just like any other great film from 50, 60 years ago. We're still picking apart 2001 Space Odyssey, movies like that, Blue Velvet, So that I'm glad that our film kind of fits into that category of like kind of puzzling the audience.
Right.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think a good crash course into your filmmaking would be to see Layla and also a close-up. So that kind of gives everybody an idea of what Zapper is all about and probably where you guys are heading in the future with your films.
Yeah.
Maybe. And what were you going to say, Skye?
I think I was going to say that like Zapper is an example, but also Close Up and Layla, they're all very like visually striking and they don't tend to lean towards a whole lot of narrative. But I think for us, we know what the meanings are behind certain things. Like for Close Up, it's not just about her going on an acid trip to Mars. Like it's about her trying to find her place in the world. It's about her trying to find this place that she feels like is a home to her. And I think that really does like just bleed into the human experience of being on Earth. And I think if people are able to kind of see past like all the craziness that Nick's able to accomplish in movies, they'll be able to see me in the background, like trying to put that human aspect into our films, And Zapper has its own little special meaning to me. And I'm not sure what it is to Nick. We haven't even really discussed it. But I won't spoil that either.
So you both will be at Indie Spirit Film Festival, and you'll be able to talk to our audience and other filmmakers. And Nick, since you and Skye, you've been to some of our festivals too by now, and tell a little bit about the experience of what it's like to meet other filmmakers and connect with them at a live film festival event.
I mean, it's awesome. It's like the closest you'll get to actually networking with other filmmakers other than like actually being on a set with them. It's like it's probably the most like important meeting spot for like-minded people in the film community. I feel like it's just so much. It's so fun and like so like interesting to see all the different films out there. I feel like there's always a great variety, and just like so much like. So I try to conjure the words, but like no, it's my favorite experience in Colorado to do. Honestly,
it gives you a connection with everybody else, I think, too.
Yeah. I much prefer in-person film festivals than online. I think it has a lot more opportunity for people to. I mean, Nick does this. I don't know if anyone else does this. He'll message like filmmakers he really likes, like, "Hey, I love this part and this, so he can start networking." He does stuff like that. I don't do stuff like that. That's very nerve-wracking for me. I'd much rather like see someone across the room and be like, "Okay. Going up, like, I really liked your movie," and I think we're able to build like more sustainable relationships when we can talk to each other and like give feedback and like ideas to each other than just through.
And well, my dear, if that happens to you, you can always get me or Megan, and we will introduce you to these people.
That's
That's
also
part
a
of our
plus.
job.
Yeah.
We will be doing that. So that's
That's
part
a
of what
plus.
we do. We're meeters and greeters. So anyway.
Because I think that is like the biggest part of it, right? So that networking, it really is who you know in the industry and how you really get moving on things, and just connecting. It's like, oh, I don't know this person, or I don't know, this specific role, that this person could do, but hey, I know somebody who could. And so that's just how you get all connected. So I think it is nerve-wracking. I'm right there with you.
I'm super excited for this one though.
I was much more introverted than I am now. But I still get that sometimes. But yeah, it's very much like, okay, hi. Just talk to you.
So I want to wrap up the discussion really quickly about, I just want to point out one thing. So Nick, as I said before, Nick's been part of our festivals many times. He's won multiple times at our festivals. But I think the award that I was so happy to give him was 2 years ago for Short Circuit was the Innovative Filmmaker Award.
Yeah, it was
and
amazing.
One of the reasons why that happened was because our judges, who have been with the festival for a really long time and knew Nick's work, and they were like, you know what, this guy deserves something more than just an award for one of the films. So it was kind of like, I hate to say a lifetime achievement award because you're so young, you know what I'm saying? But it was also looking back at your career and your work and seeing the effect of that work had upon them.
Yeah.
And so that's what they were recognizing. So I just wanted to bring that up again. I know I bring it up again and again and again because I'm really proud of you. Obviously, I've known you for all these years.
Yeah.
And
well, that was one of my greatest achievements. I still cherish that. Like, they could give me a Palme d'Or, and that'll still be my favorite award I ever won.
Thank you.
Because like it just means a lot, And I have been with you guys for so long.
I know we're getting all
I
teary.
don't hear you when you.
Sorry, I didn't.
Getting
mean that.
verklempt here. Skye's getting verklempt, and I'm getting a little verklempt. But so let me just say that we're all going to be at the Indie Spirit Film Festival, July 7th, 8th, and 9th in Colorado Springs. Ivy Wild School, Malibu Art Theater. Tickets are on sale. You can get more information at ifsoc.org, ifsoc.org, or Indie Spirit Film Festival, isff.eventive.org for tickets. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Thank you.